by a local community. And the precise indicator that we've been working on is called the Bitek, Vitality Index of Traditional Environmental Knowledge, which is an experimental indicator for measuring the vitality of tech over time and space. And we define vitality here specifically as the retention of knowledge across generations. Of course, the inverse of that measure is effectively a measure of the degree and speed of change. So it allows us to evaluate to what extent traditional knowledge is being transmitted across generations or age groups. Now, the idea of it is that it is a bottoms-up, a locally focused type of indicator, and it's based on a set of integrated methods which purport to be globally applicable, locally appropriate, in other words, adaptable to any situation, and based on representative sampling to make it somewhat efficient. So it's designed to be participatory or collaborative in its approach to data collection involving the training of local community workers. We might add here that it's based on a principle of local appropriation. The idea is not simply to go into a place and make measurements of knowledge change, but to train and capacitate local people to do it for themselves. Now, it involves a specific methodology, as mentioned, which after, of course, previous informed consent is obtained, involves constructing a data register which reflects a significant portion of local traditional knowledge that serves as a baseline data for the assessment. After that is completed, preparation of a standardized tech aptitude test, the selection of sample subjects to take that test, stratified by age and gender, and then individual test application and scoring and calculation of the measures, which are sort of represented here, which there are three: intergenerational rate of retention, which is the retention between any successive pair of age groups; the cumulative rate of retention, the proportion of the baseline aptitude level retained by each succeeding age group; and the annual rate of change, which is the average rate and direction of change per year, reflected by a particular target age group. Now, we've been doing a pilot study of this in a number of locations in Venezuela, including one on the coast, to see whether the methodology that we've come up with is appropriate or not. And we designed this to apply in the widest range of cultural and ecological variation possible. Now, these are the domains, the knowledge domains, which we've covered in our study, divided into general groups: conceptual knowledge and practical skills. We'll only be talking about a couple of these here today, but we see in conceptual knowledge, plants and animals are represented. In practical skills, among others, agriculture and fishing. Now, one of the places where we've been doing this is a coastal community called Chuao, and it's on the Caribbean coast, and it has a strong Afro-Caribbean cultural and biological element, a community of agriculturalists and fishermen. Now, just to give you an idea of what this kind of indicator measures and what it looks like, I'm going to show you a couple results. Here's a cumulative retention trend for the entire test. What we see here is that GO being the oldest generation and G2 being the youngest generation, we see sort of a steady decline of almost 30% of overall knowledge in the span of these generational span here, in the question of 2 generations. Now, in the bottom part of the graph, we see that this declining trend is more severe among males, especially in the youngest generation of males, dropping almost to a little over 60% of what their grandfathers presently know. We can divide the test, we can disaggregate it into parts and sections. In this case, we show you the differences between the results for the conceptual component versus the practical knowledge component. Not great differences, although there's a slightly more declining trend with the practical knowledge component among males than the conceptual component. With the plant, as far as plant knowledge, there's a much greater decline among males, especially in the youngest generation, than females. So we know that males are failing to pick up more knowledge than their female counterparts. But as far as animals go, we see a reverse trend, whereas males are maintaining a comparable level knowledge across generations, whereas females are not. Now with agriculture, there is a similar result in the youngest generation, although the greatest difference was with the intermediate generation, a decline in women, a slight increase in males. As for fishing, we see a notable increase. The method can capture acquisition of new knowledge as well. We see there's a notable increase in the second generation of males. And this reflects the fact that during the last 30-40 years, there has been a growing trend of commercial fishing in the region, which was not practiced previously. So there are different applications of this kind of method. We want to emphasize the importance of it for consciousness building at the local level with regard to whether people are passing on their traditional knowledge or not, because it's an important part of their cultural heritage, and also to give them a tool to communicate with outsiders. It also has policy and research applications. I'm probably out of time, so I won't talk about those now. But now that you've seen a little bit about it, if anyone is interested in the question of knowledge transmission and wondering whether the community has particular problems, now you see that there is a method that is perhaps capable of capturing some of this. I think we need new approaches, and this is one of them, so you can decide for yourself whether this method might work for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stephen Gent. Next presentation is from Japan, Professor Master Hiroyuki.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Last night I enjoyed dinner with past and present and the next president of Ecological Society of Korea. I am now the president of Ecological Society of Japan, and today I'm very honored to have a chance of introduce my research. Japan now started a big project of integrated local environmental knowledge. And this project, the total budget is $1 million per year, and maybe 5 years continue. And this is initiated by a Research Institute of Humanity and Nature. I think this name is fit for this session. And today I talk about two Japanese world heritages, Shiretoko and Yakushima Island. And firstly, what is the integrated local environmental knowledge? This is not only traditional and local ecological knowledge, but also include scientific knowledge. This interaction is very important, we consider. And sometimes scientists interpret the value of local and traditional knowledge as universal knowledge or scientific knowledge. This is very important. I think this often encourage local people. And in contrast, on the other side, local environmental knowledge, scientists learn many things from such local activities. And the first episode is Shiretoko World Heritage. Shiretoko World Heritage is northern Japan in Hokkaido Island. And this World Heritage is registered in 2005, but this includes a marine area, coastal area, and this zone has a fishing ground. And the Japanese government promised to fishermen, fisheries cooperative associations, not to make further fisheries regulation for World Heritage. In the review of the World Conservation Union, IUCN people requested further conservation effort in marine area. First, I consider these looks a contradiction, but I also considered local fishermen have long experience of sustainable fisheries and enhance local biodiversity and local culture. Therefore, my solution is this: increasing effort for conservation by fishermen, not by the government. I think this may satisfy these two constraints. And actually, these fisheries cooperative associations expand their marine protected areas. In 1995, this is seasonal fishing ban area of walleye pollock fisheries because of the stock decline in the mid-1990s of walleye pollock stock. And in 2005, they expand voluntarily of this marine protected area. And after that, IUCN recommended this Shiretoko is the World Heritage. And during this discussion, scientists, I am the Scientific Council of Shiretoko World Heritage, we like to discuss with fishermen. First, I think the Japan Ministry of Environment dislikes this discussion because they were afraid of conflict between scientists and fishermen. But I said, we need such discussion. And the government officer said, we had no budget because this is a mid of fiscal year. I said, we don't need travel costs. Actually, the government did not pay me my travel cost. But we made such discussion. And this newspaper shows the fisherman was convinced by scientists, not by the government. And the mission of the Scientific Council is to describe the evaluate voluntary management activities of coastal fishermen as they do. If fishermen has tried to sustainable fisheries and they have some local culture, therefore scientists describe their activities as they do, and this is becomes this scientific knowledge. And IUCN report after the 2008, 3 years after the registration of World Heritage, these people, David Shepard reported these sentences. He encouraged our bottom-up approach. And this is an excellent model for the management of the natural world heritage sites elsewhere. And after that, the Ministry of Environment considered, we should make the Scientific Council in all Japanese world heritage. And this episode was chosen as one of the 6 impact stories by the International Association for the Studies of the Commons in 2010. Because we wrote a paper in the international journal, and we introduced the local activities of Shirotoko fishermen to such international journal. And the next episode is Yakushima World Heritage. This is Yakushima Island, southern Japan, and this is 500 square kilometer, the total area. And this region is a World Heritage Site, and almost the same area is also biosphere reserve. This contour means the population density of deer, very high, and very high in the mountain area. And human village exists in the north and south edge. And some agriculture exists. And this green area is a national forest. But now Japanese forestry is threatened, and this activity, industrial activity, is decreasing. And this deer overexploit this natural vegetation, and these many endemic plants are threatened now, caused by grazing of deer. This sika deer has been once threatened by overexploitation until 1970s, and after that we conserve this species. And in addition, this Yakushima Island has no predator historically. And damage on agriculture is also high. And the catching number is in 1970s we conserve sika deer at all. After that, a small number of deer were culled because of agricultural damage. But the population density increased and increased. This means now a culture of utilizing deer is threatened. And the younger generation, the number of hunters in Japan is endangered. And now we should keep or conserve, revive of hunting culture in Japan. And in 2010, the number of catching number of deer is drastically increased, because I recommend we should give up of conservation of a World Heritage Site, and just conserve to keep the biodiversity outside of World Heritage. I think that the Japanese Ministry of Environment was shocked, and they like to start such deer management program. Therefore, I think this World Heritage Site, I emphasized we need human activities even in the World Natural Heritage Site. Because in this case, very typically, because of no predator except human. And I'm a mathematical ecologist, therefore I calculate how many number of deer should be culled to decrease the population density. The present catching number is definitely smaller, fewer. Therefore, the population size will increase, I predict. And we need much more deer should be culled. And typically in the mountain and the center of mountain area, center of World Heritage. I see this and therefore I usually say scientists should some advice or propose solutions that are realistic and feasible and actually solve environmental problems and this is important, agreeable among stakeholders. First example, I showed the conservation level should be increased by fishermen. This is, I think, only one agreeable solution in the shared workspace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we wait for the last presentation from Korea. Mr. Byung-yong Kang, Amore Pacific.
It's such a great honor for me to have a chance to share our experience and practice with all of you through this workshop. Today I'd like to talk about the sustainable use of natural resources and traditional knowledge of indigenous people in Jeju Island. Before getting started, I want to introduce the company of Amore Pacific for which I'm working for in brief. Amore Pacific is a 67-year-old beauty and healthcare company.